Hello everyone, and welcome to episode number 2 of the Kubernetes Pilot series. My name is Angel Ramirez, and today we're going to talk about the main components of Kubernetes. So let's get started. To deploy Kubernetes, you will need a cluster. And for those who might not be familiar with the term cluster, it's nothing more than a group of machines or nodes working and acting as a single system. Now that we got the jargon out of the way, let's continue. For the Kubernetes setup, you need a cluster with at least one worker and one master. However, the minimum recommended is 3 workers and 1 master. The exciting part of the Kubernetes cluster and ecosystem is the new mindset that we as operators must adopt. We'll spend more about this in future episodes. For now, let's simplify and keep thinking in terms of resources rather than machines or nodes. What do I mean by that? Before, we used to arrange our deployments manually on each server. But with Kubernetes, we can see the cluster as a one big pool of resources regardless of how many servers are connected. Spoiler alert. This is how a simple Kubernetes cluster looks like. Now, let's break it down in 3 groups: the master, the worker, and the add-ons. Let's begin with the master components. As you probably guessed, they are running on the master node, and they are the control plane making global decisions inside the cluster. These components are the API server, the etcd, the scheduler, the controller manager, and the cloud controller manager. First, the API server. This component exposes the API of the Kubernetes control plane, and this is how the Kubernetes CLI or kubectl interacts with the cluster. Next, we have the etcd. etcd is the key value store database where all the Kubernetes data is stored. And when I mean all, is all. Following, the scheduler. The scheduler watches for pods and finds them a node with enough resources to run. Then, the controller manager. This component is a single binary composed by 4 processes, and they are the node controller, responsible for the health of the nodes inside the cluster. The replication controller, responsible for keeping the desired amount of pods for each replication. The endpoint controllers handles the endpoints object that links services and pods. Then we have the service account and token controller, which handles the default accounts and API access for each namespace. The last master component is the cloud controller manager, which handles all the interactions with your cloud provider. It works very similar to the regular controller manager, but it's just focusing on the cloud provider. As you can see, controllers are very powerful, but there's more. In future episodes, we'll show you how to create your own controller. Now, let's talk about the working node components. These components are known for running on each working node. The working node has 3 very light components, which makes sense because you want to reserve most of the space for your pods to run. The first worker node component is the kubelet, which makes sure that all the containers are running in the pod and healthy. The proxy allows the communication to the inside network of the cluster by using network rules, mainly used for development and testing pods. It's recommended to remove it in production for security reasons. And the third component is the container runtime, which is responsible for running the containers. The most common runtime choices are Docker and Containerd. The last components group is the add-ons, which provide a cluster-level features by using Kubernetes resources such as daemon sets and deployments. These components cover areas like networking, DNS, metrics, logic, you name it, and more. A quick recap of today's episode. Kubernetes is a modular platform with three components groups: masters, worker, and the Addons, making Kubernetes flexible and extensible. In the next episode, we are going to cover the main Kubernetes objects. So don't forget to subscribe and see you in the next episode.